For more than 100 years, transportation has depended on a simple assumption. A human being sits behind a wheel, makes decisions, and accepts risk. Every commute, every delivery, every late-night ride home depends on attention that can fail. Cities were built around that limitation. Traffic lights regulate hesitation. Parking lots store unused machines. Roads expand to accommodate inefficiency. Entire industries exist to manage human error. But what happens when the driver is no longer required? Tonight, a new chapter in mobility begins, a concept that moves transportation from a personal responsibility to a coordinated system, and at the center of this shift is a vehicle designed not to be driven, but to operate. Elon Musk introduced a vehicle that does not resemble a traditional car. No steering wheel, no mirrors, no dashboard filled with controls. Instead, a compact autonomous transport platform called the Cybercab. The Cybercab is not positioned as a product. It is presented as infrastructure. Its purpose is singular: move passengers safely, efficiently, and with minimal cost. Remove the driver, and the vehicle's architecture changes. Remove manual control, and interior space becomes functional living space. Remove ownership requirements, and mobility becomes a service. The update revealed is not one feature, but an integrated system combining autonomy, energy management, and shared fleet intelligence. It is transportation redesigned from first principles. Design without a driver. Traditional vehicles are built around the driver's needs. Visibility, control access, ergonomics for reaction. Cybercab reverses that logic. Without a steering wheel, the front of the vehicle becomes symmetrical. Safety structures distribute force around passengers instead of around control hardware. Cabin space expands. Interfaces disappear until needed. Passengers do not operate the vehicle, they inhabit it. And that philosophical shift signals a deeper transformation. Transportation moving from active control to passive reliability. The networked intelligence update. The most significant update is not visible from the outside. Each Cybercab operates as part of a collective learning network. Every road condition encountered by one vehicle informs the behavior of all others. Obstacles, traffic flow, weather variation, and unpredictable human behavior are not isolated experiences. They are shared knowledge. Instead of millions of individual drivers making independent decisions, a distributed system interprets the environment continuously. Transportation becomes coordinated rather than reactive. This is not simply autonomy. It is cooperative autonomy. Safety. Reconsidered human reaction time averages about 1 second. In traffic, that second can determine outcomes. Autonomous systems operate in milliseconds. The Cybercab update emphasizes redundancy in perception rather than reliance on a single interpretation of the environment. Multiple computational models evaluate surroundings simultaneously, comparing conclusions and calculating confidence. Uncertainty is not ignored. It is measured. Without steering columns, pedal intrusion, or driver positioning constraints, the structural design prioritizes passenger protection in new ways. Safety becomes a design condition, not a driver responsibility. Energy. As a system, mobility and electricity have traditionally been separate infrastructures. Cybercab merges them. Vehicles schedule charging based on grid demand patterns. They communicate with energy networks to balance consumption across time and location. Charging becomes automated, optimized, and invisible to passengers. Transportation does not merely consume energy, it cooperates with energy systems. The result is efficiency, not just at the vehicle level, but at the scale of the city. Experience. Over operation inside the Cybercab, interaction is minimal and intentional. Lighting adapts to mood and time of day. Seating adjusts automatically. Interfaces appear only when required. Passengers choose experiences rather than routes. Quiet. Travel, productivity, conversation, or rest. The absence of driving does not create emptiness, it creates possibility. Travel time transforms from obligation into usable time, and that change may be the most immediate impact felt by individuals. Economic shift. Transportation cost has long included ownership, maintenance, insurance, and idle time. A shared autonomous fleet alters that equation. Vehicles operate continuously rather than remaining parked for most of their lifespan. Efficiency increases utilization. Utilization lowers cost. When transportation becomes cheaper than maintaining a private vehicle, behavior changes. Ownership becomes optional. Access becomes primary. Mobility begins to resemble a public utility. 2. City reimagine. If vehicles do not require parking, urban space is liberated. If traffic becomes predictable, road design evolves. If transportation is affordable and reliable, access to opportunity expands geographically. Cities built around storage and congestion may gradually reorganize around movement and presence. Parking structures convert to housing. Streets narrow to human scale. Air quality improves through smoother traffic flow. Infrastructure adapts when assumptions change. Human response technological transitions are never purely technical. For some, autonomy represents convenience. For others, it represents loss of control, of profession, of familiarity. Taxi drivers, delivery workers, commuters, policymakers, each experiences the shift differently. History suggests that transformative technologies do not ask permission. They accumulate adoption until resistance becomes adaptation. Yet public trust remains the essential threshold. Reliability must be demonstrated, not promised. A coordinated mobility network requires data, movement patterns, environmental interpretation, operational metrics, safeguards, anonymization, and distributed architecture are presented as protections, yet questions persist. Who governs mobility infrastructure? How is access regulated? What constitutes acceptable oversight? Technological capability often arrives before societal consensus. The conversation surrounding autonomy will evolve alongside the technology itself. When transportation becomes predictable, time becomes more flexible. When mobility becomes affordable, geography matters less. When vehicles operate continuously, cities breathe differently. Children gain independence earlier. Elderly individuals retain mobility longer. Night travel becomes routine rather than risky. Economic participation broadens. Infrastructure simplifies. Silence increases. These changes do not occur overnight. They accumulate gradually, almost invisibly, until they appear inevitable. For generations, driving represented autonomy, control over direction and speed. The Cybercab proposes a different definition of freedom. Freedom not as control over the machine, but freedom from needing to control it. Transportation fades into the background of life like electricity or running water. Present, reliable, unremarkable. That may be the ultimate design goal. The Cybercab is part of a larger vision articulated by Tesla. Integration of energy, automation, and infrastructure into unified systems. Vehicles become nodes in networks. Products become services. Systems become environments. Technological progress rarely arrives as a single invention. It emerges as convergence. Autonomy, artificial intelligence, energy storage, and connectivity are reaching maturity simultaneously. Cybercab is where those trajectories intersect. Each transition followed a similar pattern. Skepticism, demonstration, gradual adoption, normalization. The question is not whether transportation will change. The question is how quickly trust will follow capability. It is an argument that transportation can be safer, simpler, and more accessible when control shifts from individuals to coordinated systems. Whether that argument succeeds depends not only on technology, but on acceptance. Cities will test it. Passengers will evaluate it. History will judge it. For now, one thing is clear. The future of mobility is no longer defined by who drives. It is defined by whether driving is necessary at all. And the road ahead is being designed, not steered.